Good morning.
Good morning.
Last time I was in this pulpit, we talked about our stuff, our possessions, the things we own. And we talked about the story of the rich man who went to Jesus and said, "What must I do?" And Jesus said, "Well, go home, sell all your stuff, give the money to the poor, and follow me." And began the conversation of the temporariness of things here in this lifetime, in this what the old poets call the mortal coil. And stuff comes and goes, we come and go. The ownership of our stuff changes. Stuff changes hands, and our property changes hands, and everything changes hands. There's an arc to everything, a beginning and an ascension and a peak and then a descension until finally whatever this thing is we're talking about ceases to be, but something else comes along in its place. To that end, the New Testament reading is from the Gospel of Mark, 13th chapter, beginning with the first verse. And in order to gain a deeper understanding of this story, I have juxtaposed this with the same story in the two other synoptic Gospels, which are, of course, Matthew and Luke. So I'm going to be inching through this, and I would appreciate your indulgence. And as he came out of the temple, one of his disciples said to him, "Look, teacher, what wonderful stones." Now, I've known this passage for years, and I thought that they were talking about the stones that the temple was built out of, because they were massive stones. The historian Josephus tells us that this temple, the temple in Jerusalem, was made of white and green spotted marble, and the stones were 50 feet long, 24 feet wide, and 16 feet thick. So I thought that was the stones that the disciples were talking about. But over in the 21st chapter of Luke, they elaborate on that a little bit. Luke tells us the temple was adorned with noble stones and offerings. So that would be gems, precious stones, jewels. And what wonderful buildings. And Jesus said to him, "Do you see these great buildings? There will not be left here one stone upon another that will not be thrown down." Now there you have a little bit of prophecy. Of course, this temple, if you dig into the history a little bit, has a habit of coming down. It dates back to at least 900 years BC. And Solomon built a temple that came down, and they built another temple. It got ransacked. It got occupied. It got torn down. It got rebuilt. And 900 years of history had passed between Solomon building the first temple on that spot and Jesus going into it, teaching and discussing it with his disciples. This is a bit of prophecy about the next thing that was going to happen at the temple, because in the year 70 AD, Caesar gave orders that they should demolish that whole city and the temple, with the exception of the 3 towers and a part of the western wall. And Josephus tells us all the rest of the wall was laid completely even with the ground by those who dug it up to the foundation. There was left nothing to make those who came there believe that it had ever been inhabited. Well, the problem isn't there right now unless it's underneath another building. Since 700, there had been a Muslim shrine on that site and also a mosque. So there's been a lot of fighting over that piece of real estate. But Jesus predicted that this great temple with these huge blocks of stone would come down, and it did. And as he, Jesus, sat on the Mount of Olives opposite the temple, Peter and James and John and Andrew asked him privately, "Tell us, when will these things be? And what will be the sign when all these things are about to be accomplished?" Now Matthew expounds on that question a little bit, chapter 24, Gospel of Matthew. He adds, "And what will be the sign of your coming and of the close of the age?"